What up YouTube, is Misery, it's Company. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the maybe best in slot legendaries that are coming to the game very soon in this most recent update. It is once again a minor update. I do want to start this video off by pointing that out because honestly I was a little surprised with how much we're getting, because to me a minor update is literally just a few tweaks. But when we get all brand new legendaries, and I know it doesn't probably take a ton of development, it still feels like a lot of content because it does change the game pretty aggressively. And I'm going to tell you right now in the beginning of this video, you're going to want to watch this to the very end because I'm going to break down all the different classes of legendaries, because there are 3 classes in particular that in my opinion are just winning in this update with these new essences. So you're going to want to figure out who those are, and without further ado, let's get straight to it. Alright, so this is going to be a relatively long video, but I'm going to do my best to speed through it. So calling all clans, test your might in our next content update. So again, got a nice little image there, probably won't use that for the thumbnail, probably use a different one. So we get 36 brand new legendary items. Let's talk about them just at a high level. So the Barbarian first, shoulders, each time cleave deals damage to an enemy within 2 seconds, its damage against that enemy is increased by 10% for up to 30%. So basically, if you use cleave, you hit the same target, you do additional damage. Looks like this could be good single target damage increase for the Barbarian, which could be good for PvE, more specifically in raids. Next is the Pants. Ground Stop now also causes lava to erupt from the ground after a short delay, damaging and stunning enemies. This is a massive PvP buff in my opinion to the Barbarian, which probably didn't need it. Because this is additional CC to a class that's already doing very well in PvP is a little concerning. So yeah, this is a little foreshadowing based off my previous statement of one of the 3 classes that is winning in this update. So cleave now becomes, so this is the main hand. Cleave now becomes channeled, damaging all enemies in front of you repeatedly. So basically you get to channel your cleave as if it's like, you know, an ice beam or whatever, ice ray, whatever the hell it's called for the wizard, and then damaging all enemies in front of you repeatedly. So it could be good. Again, I don't see that being very good at all for PvP because you're at the like hold still to do that. Could be good for PvE, especially tied together with these shoulders where the more times you hit the single target enemy, and this is just making it so it's basically you just hold down the button. So that's pretty cool. I like that. So offhand for the Hammer of the Ancients now can be dropped at a target location, and when activated again, you and the hammer rush toward each other, gathering any enemy in between together. So basically it sounds like you throw your hammer out and then you hit it again, and here you are, and anyone in between just gets smushed. So that could be good for farming as well as, although I think there's no changing the build for Barbarian farm, could be good also for PvP. Moving forward, the chest. After using Hammer of the Ancients, your attack speed and movement speed are increased by 20% for 4 seconds. Now that could be a little interesting, combining those two offhanded chest. I don't remember, I haven't played the Barbarian in a while, so I don't remember what their best in slot pieces are, but that's an interesting combination there of Hammer of the Ancients. And then Head, Demoralized now calls on the power of an Ancient to charge forward, toward you from a targeted location, bringing an enemy in its path to you. So again, you're bringing more people into you. That has some pretty interesting effects on PvP in my opinion. So honestly, I think the first 2-ish are the ones that are going to be, or maybe the second one. These pants are going to be really good for PvP for the Barbarian. I cannot stop itching my nose. It's super itchy. Anyway. So in my opinion, I mentioned that there are 3 classes that totally won in this update in terms of the new legendaries. The Barbarian is one of them. Moving on to the Crusader, the main hand. When Spinning Shield hits an immobilized enemy, it will stun them for 3 seconds. This sounds good at first, but then you have to realize you have to immobilize them first. So they have to be immobilized, and then you have to hit them with the Spinning Shield, so it's a little bit of a cause and effect. I'm not as familiar with the Crusader. It's been, again, like I said with the Barbarian, it's been a while, so I don't know how easy it is to immobilize a target. Could be easy, could not be, I don't know. Offhand, Spinning Shield now hurls 3 electrified shields that stun enemies. They strike for 4 seconds, but no longer return to you. Spinning Shield now has 2 maximum charges. So I don't know if these would stack, this main hand offhand, where like they're stunned from this and then they're considered immobilized, so they would be stunned again. I don't know. That'd be interesting to play with. So Pants Shield Charge now slams your shield into the ground, dealing damage and pulling in nearby enemies. Probably good for PvE farming is my guess there. Head Consecration now covers a smaller targetable area but will automatically seek nearby enemies. Meh. For every enemy affected by, this is for the chest piece, for every enemy affected by your consecration, you receive Heavenly Strength, increasing your damage by 2% up to 10%. More damage is good. Shoulders, when Conjuration of Light is activated, it will now also blind all nearby enemies for 3 seconds. Now that could be good. That could be good for PvP. Again, I think the Crusader is an interesting spot. It has its bread and butter. I don't remember again how all these play into what their metas are. I think this is sort of so-so for the Crusader. I think there's some interesting ones, but none that are just game-breaking like some of the other classes in this. Moving on to the Demon Hunter, the chest knockback shot now causes your primary attack to also fire a blast of wind that knocks enemies away. Interesting. So you basically knock back shot. You do a little flip, I think, if I remember correctly, for the knockback shot. But then your primary attack also knocks a blast of wind that pushes them away. So then it says, for the headpiece, after using knockback shot, your primary attack speed is increased by 30% for 4 seconds. So basically you push them away, and then you get an increased attack speed, which is really good. It's definitely reminded me of like World of Warcraft Disengage for the Hunter, with a buff attached to it. So Pants, Knife Trap now attracts enemies once triggered and explodes several seconds later. This one's a little misleading. I don't really know how to interpret this one, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Shoulders, Rain of Vengeance now deploys flaming arrows, burning all enemies in a target path. So basically, if you were to pair Rain of Vengeance with Knockback Shock, you can finally get a Firestorm on the Demon Hunter. I say finally. I don't think you could previously, but now you definitely can. Offhand, crossbow shot now also deals additional damage whenever it hits the same enemy 3 times. This is really good because if I remember correctly, the crossbow shot, or the offhand is one that's very competitive, but also this could be really good for single target, which is what the Demon Hunter was supposed to be good at already and just sort of fell off because of how well the other classes were doing. Moving on. So main hand, multi-shot now randomly fires either hatred or discipline arrows, causing any struck enemies to become vulnerable or slowed, respectively. Enemies affected by both effect take additional damage and are stunned. Wow. Oh, by both effects, excuse me. So if they're affected by both, then they take additional damage and are stunned. That's going to be really good for PvP. So one of the other classes, if you can't tell, that got the W, in my opinion, is going to be the Demon Hunter. Although they really needed it, I think these essences are going to be really good and should put them in a better spot. A lot of people have been doing tier list, and I've been considering doing a tier list, but I don't think they're bad. I just think they haven't gotten as much love as all the other classes have. So I think this is the love that they finally needed. The Monk, which needed nothing. The headpiece, Inner Sanctuary now forms a spiritual sphere, greatly reducing the movement speed of enemies and preventing dash skills from being used while within the sphere. Oof. So basically, Inner Sanctuary is going to be a little dome that drops that makes it so people move slower and can't escape, and you can just blow them up. That's a little scary for an already pretty bursty class. But I don't remember what else is on the headpiece. So Pants, each time Wave of Light deals damage to an enemy within 2 seconds, its damage against that enemy is increased by 3% up to 30 seconds. Again, damage dealt increased. Sounds good. Although it's not as bursty, it ramps up. So that's a different style of DPS for the Monk, in my opinion, because usually they're pretty bursty. So for the chest piece, Flying Dragon now creates a massive updraft in a targeted area, knocking any enemy in the area up into the air, and Flying Dragon is activated again after hitting enemies. You will teleport to them and deliver a flurry of kicks, dealing damage and stunning them. Holy shiza. That's a shit ton of CC all in one chest piece. So basically Flying Dragon pops them up. If you activate it again, you will jump back on them, do damage, and stun them. That's a lot of CC, and it more or less sounds like in invulnerability frame where you can't be targeted while you're teleporting. So that's a little busted. At least how it reads, it sounds very broken. So main hand, the final strike of Fist of Thunder, full combo now generates a ball of lightning that deals damage continually. Meh, okay. I think that's the auto attack. So that's interesting. I don't think they have many auto attack builds for the Monk. I think they tried to, and they tried to with an essence a couple patches ago, and it didn't do what they probably wanted it to. So maybe this will help with it. Shoulders, Wave of Light now becomes channeled, dropping a golden bell in front of you that you repeatedly strike, damaging. Yeah, there's a couple of these where you're supposed to damage the bell, and then it's supposed to damage other people. But why not just damage the people instead of attacking the bell? So I'm feeling kind of meh on this one. Offhand, Flying Dragon now also shatters enemy. That's gonna make me puke. Flying Dragon now also shatters enemy armor, increasing damage taken by 10% for 3 seconds. Just imagine this offhand with this chest piece, and that's all you need to think about in PvP. You get CC'd to death, and you take more damage with 1 ability and 2 essences. Eep. All right. Necromancer. So chest, bone spirits damage increased by 35% to feared enemies. Okay. So head, corpse lance now also reduces the movement speed of any enemies it strikes and immobilizes any enemy hit by a lance 4 times for 3 seconds. Okay. I feel okay about that one. Offhand, bone spirits now instantly unleashes mini spirits, but no longer consumes energy to maintain the effect. Now that's interesting. Okay. This is the one I was interested in, I think. So Wraith Form for the pants for the Necromancer. Wraith Form now quickly teleports you to your target. Upon arrival, you deal damage and fear all nearby enemies. You're basically guaranteeing damage and fear with Wraith Form, which I want to say you can't be targeted when you're in, which is crazy. So, Necromancers don't have a ton of mobility. Wraith Form is their mainly only form. I think they have a couple different essences that makes them teleport, but this one is now a teleport into a fear, which seems really, really good. So I think you'll see a little bit more burstiness out of a Necromancer. It should be interesting. I like that one a lot. Main hand. Wraith Form cooldown is reduced by 0.5 seconds each time you are hit. So you can take damage. Okay. Cooldown cannot be reduced more than 1.5 seconds maximum. I don't know about that one. So each time it's reduced by 0.5, but then you can only get basically hit 3 times and then you get your maximum. What's the cooldown on that? Is it until it comes back? And how long is Wraith Form cooldown? I don't know. That could either be really interesting or really, really bad. It's on a main hand, which I feel like you have really good options as a Necromancer, so I don't see this being best in slot. These pants, though, these pants are where it's at. So shoulders, corpse explosion now also detonates the fear of targeted enemies, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Yeah, this one I don't get. So corpse explosion, which is typically done by a corpse and does damage, now also detonates the fear of targeted enemies. Oh, okay. So if they are feared, you basically are also detonating them and dealing additional damage to all nearby enemies. So you're not only exploding the corpses, you're also exploding the enemies that have the fear on them. That is interesting. Okay, I misread that the first time. So that means with the pants, you basically teleport on top of them, fear them, do a corpse explosion, and you do a crap ton of AoE really quickly as a Necro. Interesting. Okay. So Necros, I'm maybe more than 3, because I forgot Necro had this when I was skimming this earlier. I like that for the Necro. That's good. That's really good. All right, so Wizard. My personal class. So shoulders, ice armor now also reduces the amount of continual damage you take by 40%. This doesn't do anything for me. Doesn't do anything for me at all. Okay, so next up is the main hand. Arcane Torrent now creates a chaotic orb that moves with you and fires arcane missiles at random nearby enemies. The way this reads sounds like this could be really, really good, especially in the main hand slot for farming for the wizard. In addition to the chest piece that we're going to talk about here in a second, I think this could be really, really good because it at least how I'm reading it, is that it just summons something that attacks for you and you can just walk or run or speed boost or whatever you want, but you go and it just does damage. And that sounds real, real good. Moving on. So offhand, all allies struck by Lightning Nova gain 30% increased movement speed for 1 second. That 1 second is terrible. But again, you're boosting your allies. So like at the beginning of a battleground, which I've been doing more battlegrounds, you guys should be doing too. Expect to see a video about PvP actually. As many of you know, I'm not big on PvP, but I've been pretty big on PvP recently, and it's actually been a lot of fun. But that's a video for another time. So this could be good for like a little boost of speed for that. Lightning Nova now, also for the PvE side of the towers, that would also be really good to boost the speed of your allies. Combine that with a a barbarian, and you get a lot of speed for your team there. That's pretty sick. So Lightning Nova now transfigures you into a ball of pure lightning, allowing you to move at a high speed and continually deal damage to any nearby enemy. This is phenomenal. This is really good. This was the other one I was talking about, where it's going to make it so you do additional damage as you're farming. So basically you turn into a ball, you have a ball that does from your Arcane Torrent as well. Hopefully you don't lose it. We'll have to test that out. I will cover that in a video as well, but it sounds like this could be the way they even used, where is it? Transfer you to a ball of pure lightning, allowing you to move at a high speed and continually deal damage to nearby enemies. Sounds like it'd be really, really, really good for farming. So I look forward to that. And then pants. Whenever Arcane Torment hits an enemy 4 times, they will take additional burst of damage. Meh. Head, your slow time now follows you. So again, this is incredibly vague, but it sounds hella good. So imagine a battle mage build. Now it is the headpiece, so you can't use the 4 orbs for the battle mage build, but imagine a type of build where you teleport on top of someone and your slow time comes with you, hopefully, is the way we're interpreting this. I don't know if it's a delay where like you would teleport and then the slow time comes with you, or it's immediate. Imagine teleporting on top of like an idol or something in PvP, and you just burst down and entire people who are now slowed because of your slow time. This has a lot of really cool implications. I think this will be fun to play with. So hell difficulty player merge, basically the way that this translates is wherever your server paragon is based off this list is what different players can play together of those different hell difficulties, and then they are tuned based off the number of players. So for example, currently our server paragon is just above 600. It's like 640, 50 something. I don't know, in the 600. So after this update, all players in from Hell 1 up to Hell 7 can play together. So this is really, really good. This also kind of shows us that additional Paragon server levels are coming, because I don't see them doing this with like whatever the current server Paragon is. Or hell difficulty level is for whatever the current server paragon is. And what I mean is by the time we get to server paragon level 800, I don't see 8 being the final cap. Okay, so moving on, Accursed Towers PvE registration deadline change. Basically, they changed the time so it's less inconvenient for most players. Instead of 3 a.m. and now it's, I guess, 9 p.m. Saturdays through Sundays at 9 p.m. So apparently that was an issue, they fixed it. Battleground and Rite of Exile changed. Now again, I've been playing more PvP, so this actually makes a little bit more sense to me. So now when defenders are pushing back the idol in phase 2 of Battlegrounds and Rite of Exile, the idol's movement speed will be 50% slower. So basically, if you wipe a team as defense, it will move 50% slower than it was moving forward on offense. This is a phenomenal change, because I cannot tell you how annoying it is to be the attacker and feel like you are just constantly losing on every front. So this is a nice change and hopefully make it a little bit more balanced. And I do think PvP is in a better spot than it used to be, but again, that's a video for a different time. So requirement change to unlock gated gear. So gear drops from activities not tied to hell difficulty, such as Elder Rifts, are no longer unlocked through Challenge Rift progression. Instead, they're unlocked by defeating Helliquary bosses who unlock the corresponding hell difficulty. Here's a reminder of which Helliquary bosses unlock hell difficulties. So again, this is a breakdown of all the different ones. Basically, if I interpret this right, so instead of having to solo a challenge rift, you could instead get a team to carry you through beating these bosses to unlock higher level difficulty gear. I think this has interesting implications. So basically, if you had an ult or someone that you wanted to gear up really, really quickly, you could do so pretty easily, if I'm reading this correctly. So let me know in the comments below if you are interpreting this differently, but I am interpreting this as you no longer need to solo beat a certain challenge rift progression point or like level. Instead, you could just beat a certain Helliquary boss who then unlocks the corresponding hell difficulty and that gear, which is really interesting. For whatever reason, Siri just started talking to me, which is weird, but so I feel like that's going to be easier for people to obtain better gear, which is hopefully good for as a catch-up mechanic, especially for new players. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to have a conversation with everyone. So cursed item update. I'm not going to go through all these because I'm going to be honest, I still think it's a bit of a miss, but basically they have buffed some of the positives, or at least made them more trigger easier, and then they've added more negative parts. So I still think this is just a massive miss altogether in terms of the cursed gear. It doesn't make sense compared to like all the different types of gear that we have and how difficult it is to get one that's like, in my opinion, cursed gear should be mega rare or only in the new cursed towers, and should just be always better than what a regular piece of gear is, and make it that much more rare, so that way when you see someone or you get one, it's like, wow, you have cursed gear, instead of what it is now where it's like cursed gear is everywhere, and it still has to be a chance of getting the curse that you want and the negative that you want or can handle, but then also it has to be an upgrade to your existing gear, and that combination of three things just basically never happens. So it is what it is. You can read that if you want, but I think this is still a miss on my end, or my opinion. So Regroup Assembly, basically they're making it so there's a new My Raid menu that makes it easier, so when you're out in the wild or out in hell, wherever they call it, in dungeons or whatever, you can now create a raid wherever you are, and there's more functionality. You can assign people to be like a what was it? admins, basically administrators who will have the same privileges as a leader, I assume without the ability of disbanding the raid, which is pretty cool. I don't know what privileges they will have outside of invite, because I think you already have invite. I don't know. It seems like this is a quality of life increase, but I don't know. My warband and I don't have an issue with this, so it is what it is to me. Earn Miss Immortal rewards. So players can now earn missed rewards from the weekly celebration of a new Immortal reign by completing activities that grant battle points. Any catch-up mechanic is a good one for me because real life happens and you need the ability of just catching up. So Rite of Exile and Accursed Towers spectator mode. Basically, you can now spectate, and you can only spectate your own clan's Accursed Towers PvP matches. So that's I mean, it makes sense for obvious reasons, but I do like that, especially as a content creator. You can watch them and make videos and kind of tell narratives or tell stories about them, so it's pretty cool. Customized chat shortcuts. Each chat channel now has their own set of customizable shortcuts. Many players' typed messages can be stored per channel as a shortcut. So basically, you could do like "on my way" or "thank you" or "GG" or whatever, or "I need to go back to town" or whatever. Like quick little burst of text, which is really, really nice, and you can customize it, which is also really cool. I like that a lot. Chat channel tabs. Different tabs have been added to the chat window, so players can quickly swap between chat channels such as party or clan chat. This is great, so you can just ignore world chat is how I'm interpreting this, and they can turn this feature off in the chat settings menu. Awesome. Predictive chat messages, basically like you're texting, it can predict what you're trying to say. This could either be really good or really bad, but maybe it's good. Because I could also see like where you're basically going back and forth and it's like, no, it's not what I meant. It would be cool if it's like, I think iPhones do this, where it learns your habits and then does it that way. So like, oh, you typically say this in this situation, so we're going to suggest this next time. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, it doesn't have to be good to, it's not a problem. It's a quality of life change, whatever. Voice chat improvement. I never use this, never have, never will. Players can now easily join voice chat via the party and raid drop-down menu. Okay, there you go. I would just use Discord personally, but it's there. Voice memo. I also didn't know that was a thing. The chat memo feature has been streamlined. Players no longer need to press and hold the voice memo button while talking to record their message. Now they can press the button to initiate a recording. Okay, I mean, that's fine. That is what it is. Trials of the Warrior limited time event. This is also a really cool picture. A true warrior, basically, okay, whoa. Basically, you do certain things and you're going to be getting a corresponding reward. I don't think this is, just the daily challenges for this. It doesn't give you an example of what they are, but you see what the ultimate things are. You have to either do 50 bounties or 40 Elder Crests in order to get the maximum, which is 1 rare crest, which, can it be a legendary crest, please? And then 4 random 1-star legendary gems. Again, just meh, that's 4 Stardust or whatever, so whatever. It's free. I think that they're getting better with these rewards or like these events. I just wish the rewards would match it, because this is kind of meh. 1 rare crest, come on. Hungry Moon's coming back. There's that. This is an all clans on deck limited time event. Basically, you do things to be part of your clan and you get additional bonuses and you get different tiers as well. I kind of like this. So eliminate 6,000 elite enemies, 1 random legendary item. Thank you. 15 aspirant keys. That's not enough. 1 random 1-star legendary gem. Meh. 3 random normal gems. Okay. And then the Commander's Frame temporary avatar frame. What do you mean temporary? Like you only get to have it for a little bit, or it's only temporarily available? Anyway, you get a frame. All right, so moving on, you're gonna there's a new cosmetic available in the shop. This one looks hella cool. It's like purple and blue and like icy. I have no intent of getting it because I do have the fiery one, which is more up my alley anyway, but this one is pretty cool if you're interested, for 1,000 eternal orbs. And that's it. So ultimately, I think that considering this was a small patch, or considered a minor patch, it came with a lot of content. New legendary gear, it sounds like, is pretty easy for the developers to handle if they consider it a minor patch. And in my opinion, it greatly changes the game because it gives a lot of content for us to create as a content creator in terms of different builds, but it also just makes for a lot of fun because you get to mix and match different things, and that's a lot of fun for me. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. I personally think that the top classes that sort of won this, the new best in slot gear, is going to be the Barbarian, the Monk, the Demon Hunter, and the Wizard. So if I didn't say Necromancer, that one as well. So Wizard, Necro, Demon Hunter, Barbarian. Yeah, those are the 4 that I think did the best. I think that they have the coolest builds available. I'm really excited for the Wizard again, because once again, man, we have so much variety as a Wizard in terms of builds, and this is just adding to it, so that's really cool in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Until next time, guys, lock it in.